Hi, my name is Paul, and today I'm going to show you how to build a PC yourself at home. It's a powerful PC for my customer with a AMD Ryzen series CPU, 64 GB of RAM and an NVIDIA RTX 2080 OC edition graphics card. We have an AMD Ryzen 7 series CPU, so this is 8 cores and 16 threads. We have the brand new X570 motherboard from Gigabyte. This is the Ultra version, a very interesting one. We have 64 GB of RAM, just the Corsair Vengeance. We've got 3 devices for storage, so it's a very fast SSD from Samsung, that's 70 EVO Plus. We've got a Samsung SSD which is 1 TB for storage, and we've got an old-fashioned hard drive which is for the backups only. We have a very good cooling system from Noctua, which is a very good one, and it's a very expensive one as well. It'll keep the PC nice and quiet under heavy CPU loads as well. We've got an amazing graphics card from NVIDIA here. It's an ASUS GeForce 2080 RTX, and this is the overclocking edition, so it runs faster clocks by default. We've got a very good power supply from Corsair RM850X, which is the Gold Series power supply, and it's fully modular, so cables can be plugged in later. And of course we have an amazing case from Be Quiet, a very nice case, very big. It also takes very big motherboards, and it has very good airflow, so which is very important for the cooling. First things first is obviously we have to make sure it's all unpackaged properly. So as you can see, we've got a foil around here, around this area. So we have to make sure it's all been taken off, and have a look here. Sometimes you can see, and it actually might look like you're taking it off already, but it's actually there. It's very important to take it off, because otherwise your PC will run very hot, and it won't do any good to your machine. And I've taken this one off already. If you're not sure, you can just use the screwdriver and just give it a bit of a scratch, just a tiny bit. You can feel it, you can sense it, and that's fine. This one's been taken off already. So we'll start with the CPU, and because we have an aftermarket CPU cooler, we're gonna have to use aftermarket brackets for this cooler. So we've got a manual here. So this is AMD, and this is AMD4, so it's AM4, and you can see exactly in the manual what to do with the pictures. So that's just a standard bracket. Basically we'll take this off now. It's a magnetic screwdriver, like this. So just put this on side, take your time, and make sure you hold your screwdriver with your left hand, because you don't want it to slip accidentally, and you will scratch your motherboard. You don't want to do that. So now we're gonna put the spacers, which are in the box with the Noctua CPU cooler. Gonna put it this way. So we use this original backplate of the AMD motherboard. Now this, you can see here it says number 4, so this is AM4. So it goes like this way, and now we're just gonna screw it in there. So now we're gonna put the CPU in. We install the brackets, it's all very nice and tight. You can actually feel it here. So that's the CPU. So yeah, if you want to install the CPU, you just put this notch all the way up, like like this, very gently, don't put any pressure now. Please don't touch. Now when you take this off, don't touch the actual CPU because your fingers are dirty, they're a bit fatty, so you don't want that on the actual CPU. Now you can see at the back of the CPU, be careful, don't touch any pins because they're they're small and fragile. You see this line here, the line will point you each way to actually install the CPU. So as you can see, there's a pin missing on this side, but there are pins on both. So if you actually keep looking thoroughly into the holes on the motherboard, you have holes on this side, on that side, but that one is actually missing. So that's how we put the CPU in, with this arrow facing that way. So it's gonna go like that. You don't have to apply any pressure, it just goes down, it drops on its own. No pressure, and this one will have to go all the way down, like this. So that's it. CPU is installed. Our next step will be these SSDs. So we have 3 M.2 SSDs on this motherboard, and you can find 3 screws as well supplied with the motherboard. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this off first. That's the heat shield for the SSD, so it runs much cooler. Now at the back, you'll have to take this off afterwards once you're finished with the actual SSD. We need the SSD. So this is the SSD. This is M.2 SSD. They're very fast. Okay, so here's the SSD, but first we'll need to put the screw in. So all you have to do is to measure it, just like that. So it's 80 millimeters, and then you will find the screw in the box for the motherboard. Now you just put the screw in, just like that, just by hand, nothing special, no pressure. Now you're going to install this very gently. SSD in, just like that. Push this down and use a screw to screw it in. So the screw is in this back. And that's it. That's done. Now we're gonna put a shield on. Now remember, we had a shield. We have to take this cover off. Don't touch that. That's the thermal compound. So you don't want to touch that. Put this all the way in. Stick that inside. And do exactly the same way as we just did with the SSD drive. That's it, that's done. So our next step will be the memory. So we're going to put the memory in. Normally we can do it at a later stage, but in our case, because we have such a big cooling system, the cooling system will be going like this all the way down. And as you can see, it's covering the memory slots. So in our case, it's wise to install the SSD and the RAM before we actually install the cooler. Now all we have to do is just to go like this. Now get your memory, and now look at the actual notch here and the notch there. See, that's the wrong way. So you just turn around, and now you can see that the notch goes down there. So you put it very gently. Some motherboards you can take this down as well. On the other motherboards, it's possible that one side will stay all the way in, so it obviously won't move. So it depends on your motherboard. But in this case, we can do it it on both sides. Now we're gonna go all the way in like that. And then we'll push on both sides at the same time. Okay. Now, because we have 4 sticks, it doesn't matter which way we put them on, but you can see in here which way you have to do it first. So in this motherboard, the second and the 4th slot will have to go first, and afterwards you put this first and also the 3rd last. So in our case, we've got 4 sticks of 64 gigabytes of RAM, so we just put all 4 all the way in. Also, we have an issue here, so I'm going to show you the motherboard, and it depends on the case, but as you can see the holes here, so I have 9 holes in total, right, over here, and I wanted to have a look at the actual case. In our case, all the standoffs are already inside the case, so we don't need the standoffs. So you can actually allocate, so you don't have to put it in, but you can actually see like one hole here, the other one here, that one there. So in our case, it's already full ATX motherboard, and the stand has been allocated by the case manufacturer. So in your case, just please double check before you install anything, just to make sure the stands are in the case. Now our next step would be to install the actual CPU cooling system, but before we do that, we have to apply the thermal compound. So I'm going to be using MX4 thermal compound, and that's the latest one, 2019, so it's important to have the latest one because it's the best quality. Now the Noctua provided us with a thermal compound from Noctua, but I've no idea if it's old, if it's like 1 year old, 2 year old, I don't know. So it won't be as effective, maybe, than this one, because that's a brand new one, and I know that. Now what we're gonna do is obviously take this off, right? And then it's important to take the first drop off. Anyway, so put it on a paper like that. So just squeeze it very gently and take just a tiny bit off, because it could be some water in there in some cases. Now we're going to apply this thermal compound. So wait, I'll do it, I'll show you how. I'll squeeze it gently in the middle. So it depends how big the actual CPU is, so that will be sufficient enough to actually do that. That's it. So this is the way I'll do that. Now we're gonna put this on the actual CPU. Obviously it's nice and shiny on this end. Don't touch it with your fingers. It's got to be very, very clean. So it says Noctua, so we put it this way. And now we're gonna put it gently all the way down. So it goes all the way in, just like that. Okay, and then you take a screwdriver. Now the Noctua gives a screwdriver in the box, which is nice and tall. And I'm gonna use this screwdriver from Noctua to actually put this in. Now it's done, so what we have to do now is basically just double check it. So I'm gonna lift up the motherboard. See? No flex, nothing, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just perfectly tight. So we have the fans, which is in this case, they are actually the same fans, absolutely identical, no difference. Both fans are the same. So we're gonna start with the one inside. Now the airflow will show up in here, so it's blowing that way. Each fan will have that. So obviously we want the air to go that way. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is to put this on. Now the actual plug will go down. That's it, and it's all nice and tight. So obviously it depends on your RAM. If your RAM is higher, then you go higher as well. Our RAM is quite low, so we can go all the way down. That's it, that's that. Just gonna plug this in, just here, on this side, CPU fan, and CPU second fan, which is optional. So that's number one, this is number two. So I'm gonna plug that in here. You see that, this side, you see this side here, notch on this side. So we're gonna plug that into here, just like that. It's a 4-pin, which is good. And the second one will go on this side, the same principle. At this point, what I would normally do is to plug in power supply and a graphics card just to make sure it's working okay and test the motherboard, because sometimes it happens and something like that and faulty when it's brand new, so it's called DOA, dead on arrival. So we can test it before we actually put it in the case. So the PC now is assembled. We've got the power, we've got the graphics card plugged in, we've got the PCI Express power, we've got the CPU ATX power plugged in, we've got the ATX 24-pin motherboard power, and the coolers has been done already. So this card has no power button, so we're gonna use a screwdriver and just shorten the actual pin. We started it now. As you can see, it's all up and running. So it's a very interesting cooling system. On the graphics card it's stopped entirely because it's nice and cool. The power supply is stopped as well, even though it gives the power. CPU fan is on. And we've got a fan in there as well next to the chip. It's just started and it's asking for the BIOS reset. So it's good to go. Well, now it's time to assemble the case. So plugging in the power supply, we started with the power supply, 24-pin ATX, the graphics card, CPU ATX power supply, and this is the SATA SSD and the hard drives. So we're gonna put the power supply inside the case, and once the power supply is in, we're gonna do the motherboard later on. So basically what we've done is we're taking this bracket off, which is the power supply cover, goes on top. We've installed the power supply which is on the screws. So there are two screws here, 2 on the other side, and 2 screws at the bottom. Install that. It's a very specific case. Normally you just have to put 4 screws at the back side, but not in this case. Now I've taken this cage from the case, which goes right here at the bottom. So it's just 3 screws holding it, and currently I'm putting the hard drive into the actual cage. So most people will use SSDs only, but obviously some people will still need the old-fashioned hard drive for the backup storage. And we have a sachet with the specific screws for the hard drive with this case. So they just go like this. Okay, now I'm gonna put the cage in from this side. So remember, the SATA ports will face that way. It's time to install the second SSD drive, which is will be used for the storage, and we installed this old-fashioned hard drive. So now we're going to install the Samsung EVO SSD drive. So the plate will go into here this way. It has to face down, so the ports are facing down, and it's just a simple clip, goes like that. Okay, now it's time to install the motherboard in the case. So we have the motherboard, which is installed with cooler, the RAM, and we've got a fast SSD as well. So we're gonna have to put the motherboard all the way in. So it's gonna go just like that. To be very careful. You don't want to scratch anything, and you don't want to drop it. Now it's time to plug in all the cables, all the power cables, all the motherboard cables, and the cables for the case. Okay, so now it's all done and assembled and plugged in, apart from these 2 cables for the graphics card, PCI Express power. Now we plugged in all the cables. Here we have this audio jack and the headphones on top of the case. This is the lights, LED lights for the case. This is the USB 3 for the case on top as well. This is the power button. There's no reset button in this case. And we've got this LED lights on top and a hard drive LED. This is SATA ports, one SATA for SSD, second SSD, and one SATA for the hard drive, an old hard drive. And here right on top, this one is the USB-C power plug. Okay. And at the back of the case we've got an old type hard drive which is plugged in. This is the power, this is the SATA cable for the hard drive, and here we have SSD drive, so the power cable, SATA cable. We got additional power, this one and that one. One of these will go on the case, on top of the case for wireless charging, and the other one is giving the power for this board, which is basically controls all the fans. You can see 3 fans inserted already, and controls the lights as well, LED lights. now it's finished with the build, apart from the graphics card. So here's the graphics card, which is very beautiful in my opinion. Here's just some bits and pieces you have to understand about the graphics card. Packaging material. Number one, make sure it hasn't got any packaging material. So just make sure it's absolutely clean of the packaging, otherwise the card might actually run very hot. And here as well, sometimes it's on the fans, near the fans, on here as well. I've taken one just to show you. So one fan has no protective cover and the other one has, and I'm just gonna show you that it's actually still there. I'm not sure which one was that. I think it's this one here. Yeah, see? You can't even see it properly, but it is there. You don't want that. So here's the graphics card. The graphics card will go into the PCI Express port on top. This is actually PCI Express 4, which is the brand new one and the fastest one. So first things first, you have to make sure, don't put it in yet, just put it like that, and see on this side. So we have to take this one and that one and make a hole. Got the graphics card and it goes in like that, all the way down. You see there's a clip here on this side, and that's the clip. So it's nice and tight, it doesn't go anywhere, you can test it like that. And it stays in. And of course don't forget about this additional PCI Express power. So we have 8-pin and 6-pin. Some graphics card might have only 6-pin, some would have just 8-pin, and the more powerful one would have both. So it clicks in place, and the 6-pin one just goes like that. Okay, the PC is finished now. We finished the build. We've just cable tied all the cables here, so it's all nice and smooth. The PC is up and running. It was noisy at first because of the fan on a chipset, but we've done a BIOS update and it's okay now. It's very quiet. It's very fast and it does a good job. And if you have any questions or video requests, please comment below. I would be grateful to get your feedback. Custom build PCs specifically optimized for certain needs, for example gaming PC or a professional AutoCAD PC. By selecting the best parts available, the customer would get 3 to 5 years manufacturer's warranty. At the iTFT computers, all the PCs are assembled and tested in the UK, and we post them nationwide. All the parts shown in the video can be found in the description below. Thank you for watching.